Hi everybody, I'm the Certified History Nerd, and I'm sorry for the light. I don't know why it's so bad. Holy cow, that was horrible. Let's see if I... Oh, that does not help. Anyways, that's really, really bad. Well, I mean, my head's really bad. But okay, anyways. So today I'm going to be redoing my video on my 1980s uniform, specifically portraying the invasion of Granada, specifically the 82nd Airborne. Besides the fact that I don't have patches, this is, well, basically the standard Army's uniform. So I think it was the 82nd, and I don't remember the Ranger Battalion, but there was a Ranger unit there as well, along with, I think, the 3rd Marines. I could be wrong, but I remember there was a Marine Battalion. So what is Granada, and what the hell is even all this, and how does this relate to anything? And I'm so sorry, this lighting is really bad. So in 1983, the island of Granada, which is like this tiny little island north of Venezuela, like a couple of miles north of Venezuela. I forget the exact reason, but I believe it was because we were fearing that there was like a communist uprising kind of happening in there, so we sent troops, and it lasted for like not even a week. I think it was 5 days actually. We went there, slapped some people around, brought some tanks and infantry, and we killed and kicked out all the communists. So, classic American story. So, yeah, I mean, that's about it. Granada is nothing really too special, although it is, I think, the only actual operation during the early 60s that we really did take part of. So, yeah. So, going over the uniform. Basic uniform for the early 80s style, especially for the Army by 1983. You have the, I believe it's called the M81. Yes, the M81 woodland camo. Of course, the jacket and the pants. And this is very similar to the 3rd pattern, however, there's some differences, which we'll talk about. So, the pants are basically the exact same as the standard 3rd pattern pants from Vietnam. Like, the exact same. They have the 2 massive pockets on the side, pockets in the front, pockets in the rear. However, the jacket is a little different due to the top pockets not being slanted, but actually being straight. Oh, this is an original jacket, by the way, and the pants are replica, but this jacket is original. Other original things are a helmet, and I think one of these ammo pouches, this one I think it is, yeah, and one of my canteens, I believe it is going to be this one right here. The other 2 I think are replicas, although I'm not for sure. Although I believe they are. So yeah. For footwear, they're still wearing the Vietnam jungle boots. In combat, that's what we still wore. At home, you would wear what the National Guard wore during Vietnam, which is the all black leather ones, which we wore in Vietnam in 1965, right at the beginning of the war, but then switched to the jungle boots as the all leather didn't really work as well. So yeah, of course, like I said, I don't have any of the patches or like the name or anything like that. However, of course, that would be seen. There would be the division patch, and since it would be airborne, it'd say Airborne 82nd division patch, and then it would be last name and U.S. Army. Now, for the headwear, I have the PSAGT helmet, which the Army in Granada wore, but the Marines still were wearing the M1 helmet. I'm sorry, this is being difficult. And in my last video I made on this, I still was wearing the M1 helmet that I have with an 80s cover. However, that technically is not correct for the Army, that is. So this is an all original PSAGT helmet. Besides this is my replica lanyard band on my Vietnam M1. So it's the all Kevlar inside with the woodland camouflage cover and the helmet band with tiger stripes out, which they would do. They kept those out where they had those on in the 80s. However, in Vietnam, those would not be seen. So yeah, and then most soldiers, actually I think almost basically every soldier wore their tin strap. Very little photos I have of Granada you don't see, soldiers are not wearing chin straps. I don't know if there's any photos of soldiers not wearing chin straps. They still would wear their chin strap. Also, if you want to know the differences between the PSAGT helmet and the M1, I have a video on that. So, yeah. For the equipment, we have the M67 equipment. However, this is not the exact M67. This is, oh my gosh, sorry. I believe it's, for what I've been told, it's called the Alice M67. So the Alice stuff is the 80s. However, if you have M67 gear that's not Alice, and there's ways to tell, which I'll talk about, then it's a Vietnam M67. So now, the easiest way to tell the Vietnam M67 ammunition pouches is one simple thing. The 80s ones, the suspenders clip into the ammunition pouches by themselves. However, in Vietnam, they're just like the M56, where the suspender is still attached to the belt, and there's that thing that goes up and would attach to, I believe, oh, right here where this hole is. So yeah, that's how you can sell those. For the canteens, if it's a vertical stitch, you see it's stitching here. If it's vertical, that's the non-Alice. However, this is a horizontal stitch, so this is Alice. So this is 80s. I have both 80s canteens, and of course both 80s, or just post-Vietnam, not really 80s, but you get the point. Post-Vietnam ammunition pouches. M67 stuff's really interesting. We have these black plastic clips. Of course, it holds 3 clips for the 45 round magazines. The universals in Vietnam held 30 rounds, and of course there's the 20 short round ones, which are short 20 round ones, which I have actually every single one. And there actually is M67 20 round mag ones. Stupid looking little things. But yeah, and of course there's an improved grenade system where, you know, the grenade's actually being held in, and this, yeah. So, can hold grenades on the ammo pouches. I have the 80s style M67 belt. So there is the earlier one. This is the Alice one, I guess. The Vietnam one, which is just like, has the same clip as the M56, and also every belt of the 1900s, really. So ever since the 1910 belt, that same clip system. However, in the 80s, or post-Vietnam, I should really say, in Granada, you would see this belt, except for Marines. And I might actually be able to do a Marine impression. I'll just have to figure out all that they would wear, because I have the M1 and all this equipment I could really switch out. And I do have an M67 belt that has the normal clips instead of this 80s clip. But this is the 80s buckle, and of course, it's the M67. Forgot to mention, all this stuff is nylon, of course, so, yeah. The M67 suspenders, of course, go all the way back. These I don't think are original, and then I have a replica M67 first aid / compass pouch, which is just strapped onto my suspenders. Then I have 2 canteens. I have the M67 Alice canteen, and you're probably thinking, isn't there a butt pack supposed to be right here? Well, no. From what I've seen, a lot of photos, soldiers would end up not wearing the butt packs in active service. Soldiers would, but I've also seen photos of soldiers with butt packs. And same thing in Vietnam, the butt packs would typically be ditched sometimes. What I mean by ditched is when you get in before you go into combat, you take it off, and you don't wear it in combat because it's kind of annoying and you don't need it in combat. So, yeah. Then, for my gun, I have the M16A1, which they would have, except this one is the early Vietnam style. So, technically, if I got a birdcage muzzle for this, then that would be accurate. And I have the 45 round magazine. And yeah, they still use the M16A1 in the early 80s. The M16A2 didn't come around until mid-80s. I think it was 1985 when the Marines first adopted it in the United States. Actually, no, it was later 80s. So late in the 80s, I think it was 67 or 68, can't remember correctly, the M16A2 would be adopted by the Marines first and then the Army. So, yeah. And interestingly enough, if I got a chocolate chip camouflage helmet cover and jacket and pants, and of course I should have to get new boots, I could use this equipment and do a Desert Storm or Iraq War uniform, which that would be interesting. However, for that, I would need an M16A2. So, yeah. Anyways, that's about it for this uniform. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.